In the autumn of 9 AD, 3 Roman legions marched into a German forest and vanished. 17,000 Roman soldiers, trained, disciplined, and confident in the might of their empire, were dragged into mud, trees, and chaos. When it was over, an entire Roman army lay dead. And Rome's dream of conquering Germany died with it. This is the story of the Battle of Teutoburg Forest, how one man turned Rome's strengths into fatal weaknesses and changed the map of Europe forever. By the early 1st century AD, the Roman Empire stretched from Spain to Syria, from North Africa to the English Channel. To the north, the frontier ran along a great river, the Rhine. On the far side of that river lay Germania, thick forests, marshes, and scattered tribal confederations the Romans called barbarians. Rome had already begun pushing beyond the Rhine. Generals like Drusus and Tiberius led campaigns deep into German territory, forcing local tribes to submit, taking hostages, and building forts and roads to lock in Roman control. For a brief moment, it looked like Germania might become just another Roman province. The Romans used hostages to subdue conquered tribes. One of those hostages was a young Cheruscan noble named Arminius. He grew up inside the Roman system, learned Latin, studied Roman tactics, and even earned Roman citizenship and the rank of equestrian. Rome thought it had gained a loyal ally. Instead, it had trained its own worst enemy. In 7 AD, Emperor Augustus appointed Publius Quinctilius Varus as governor of the new province of Germania. Varus was an experienced administrator, but he was not a great battlefield commander. He'd spent much of his career collecting taxes and enforcing Roman law in already pacified regions. And he approached Germania the same way, assuming Roman authority was secure. Among his German allies was Arminius, now a trusted commander of auxiliary cavalry. Varus relied on him for intelligence and local knowledge, but Arminius saw something different. An overconfident governor, deep inside hostile territory, with long supply lines and little understanding of the land or its people. Over time, Arminius quietly forged a secret alliance with various Germanic chieftains, Cherusci, Bructeri, and others. The plan was bold and simple: lure the Romans into the forest, cut them off from their roads and formations, and destroy them. In the late summer or early autumn of 9 AD, Varus and his army, 3 legions, along with auxiliary units and camp followers, were preparing to move to winter quarters. These were not small forces. Varus commanded the 17th Legion, the 18th Legion, and the 19th Legion, plus cavalry, archers, engineers, and thousands of servants, slaves, and families travelling with the army. That's when Arminius made his move. He arrived with urgent news. A rebellion had broken out among distant German tribes. If Varus marched quickly, he could crush the revolt and secure Roman authority before winter. Varus believed him. Some Roman officers cautioned against leaving the safety of the main roads and fortified camps. But Varus brushed aside their concerns. Arminius was a loyal ally after all, Roman-trained, Roman-decorated. And so, guided by Arminius and his friendly German auxiliaries, the Roman column turned off the main route and headed into the dense, wet woods of what we now call the Teutoburg forest. As the army advanced, the terrain grew worse. The path narrowed. Rain turned the ground into deep mud. The dense forest pressed in from both sides. The Roman column stretched for kilometres. Legionaries, baggage wagons, horses, civilians all jumbled together. In open ground, Roman legions fought in tight, disciplined formations. Here, that was impossible. Units became separated. Shields and pila were awkward in the tangled undergrowth. Then, without warning, Arminius and his German auxiliaries left the column, supposedly to scout ahead and bring more allied troops. Varus let them go. A short time later, the first attacks began. German warriors, hidden among the trees and hills, hurled spears and javelins down onto the exposed column. The Romans tried to form ranks, but the terrain and confusion made it impossible. They fought through the chaos and managed to make a rough camp by nightfall, exhausted, bloodied, and increasingly aware that something had gone terribly wrong. By the second day, the Romans knew they were in a trap, but they still believed discipline and training might save them. They burned or abandoned heavy wagons trying to move faster. The army pushed on, hoping to break out of the forest and reach open ground or a fortified camp. But Arminius knew the land better than anyone. He had chosen this route for a reason. The trail led toward a narrow ridge between a steep slope and a boggy marsh. To one side, a hillside now fortified with earthworks and wooden palisades that German warriors had quietly built in advance. On the other, treacherous swamps. It was the perfect killing ground. As the Romans entered this bottleneck, German warriors launched a furious attack from the hillside fortifications, raining down javelins and closing for brutal hand-to-hand combat where numbers and formation meant little. The Roman column, already stretched thin, began to crumble. Units couldn't see each other through the trees and rain. Officers struggled to give orders. Panic started to spread. Still, the legions fought on, forming pockets of resistance and slowly retreating, step by bloody step. By the end of the day, thousands were dead. The survivors huddled together for another desperate night in the rain. On the third day, whatever remained of Varus's organized army began to disintegrate. Discipline broke down as men tried to flee or simply collapse from exhaustion and wounds. The Germans pressed their advantage ruthlessly, attacking from all sides, vanishing back into the woods, then striking again. Sources tell us that Varus, realizing the situation was hopeless and unwilling to be captured, fell on his own sword. His senior officers did the same. With their commanders dead, formations shattered, and no clear escape, the remaining Romans were cut down or hunted through the forest in smaller groups. The proud legionary eagles of the 17th, 18th, and 19th legions, symbols of Rome's honor, were captured. For Romans, this was a catastrophe beyond mere numbers. It was a spiritual and political humiliation. When the killing finally stopped, the Teutoburg forest was littered with the bodies of an entire Roman army. News of the disaster took time to reach Rome. When it did, Emperor Augustus was devastated. Later, Roman historians claimed that he would sometimes bang his head against a door, crying, "Quintilius Varus, give me back my legions!" Whether that exact quote is true or not, its meaning is clear. Teutoburg was a psychological shock the empire never forgot. Rome did strike back. Generals like Germanicus led punitive expeditions across the Rhine in the following years, burning villages, winning set-piece battles, and even recovering some of the lost legionary eagles. But Rome never again tried seriously to turn the lands east of the Rhine into a permanent province. The frontier stabilized roughly along the Rhine and Danube rivers, lines that, in many ways, would shape the cultural and political map of Europe for centuries. Today, archaeologists believe the battle took place near modern Kalkriese, in northwestern Germany, where evidence of mass graves, Roman equipment, and fortifications matches ancient accounts. The Battle of Teutoburg Forest was more than a military defeat. It was a turning point. It showed the limits of imperial power, the vulnerability of even the mightiest army when cut off from its strengths, and the impact of one determined leader who understood his enemy better than they understood him. 3 legions disappeared into the trees, but the echoes of their defeat still shape Europe today. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing for more deep dives into ancient history.